Radio fans, we are now back in the studio. Stand by for your station announcement. And away we go!
Now, I know you'd love to just sit there and keep being not slim, but we got to work a little today, okay?
Broadcasting channels of the entire world will be cleared. In every continent, in every land, in all the four corners of the earth, the whole world over. Men, and women, and children, of every age and race, and nationality, station, and color. Men of every language ready now to listen to the same voice.
Is this on?
Finally, a way to combine my love of helping people with my love of hurting people.
So sit back, pop open a cold bottle of Brazilian mineral water, enjoy some poached salmon with capers, and adjust the satellite, because we have a great show.
And there was much rejoicing.
Unleash the fury.
Unleash the fury!
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear.
It's Erik Nagel.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of It's Erik Nagel. That is me. To my right is my co-host Matt O.G.
Hello.
Back from his birthday romp.
Yes.
Globe-trotting.
That's me.
Hugging and befriending strange exotic animals.
Also me.
We'll get into that a little bit later. He's not in the Upside Down. He's actually here with us yet again. Is our putty?
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 Yes.
Jesus, I'm going back into the tree to go back to the Upside Down, and I can become a slug creature or whatever. Jeez, Putty?
Well, that's where you should have yelled, "Go Devils."
Exactly, go Devils.
Played off of that, but our buddy Giddles is here. Hello, sir.
What is up?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Lots to do on the show today, lots to talk about, and even though we're, a few days removed from the big event of the Super Bowl, we're not broadcasting on any major network, so we can call it the Super Bowl.
Right.
If they want to sue us, please do. We could use the attention.
Yeah, please.
It's not the big game. So, so the Super Bowl was a few days ago. Still, lots going on, as the time that we're broadcasting here was the day of the big parade in Philadelphia.
Right.
So we got to get into those details. The destruction of the city of Philadelphia post Super Bowl,
Right.
the game itself, everything that's going on there. I know everybody else has covered it, but we have a little bit of a different take on it because we're bringing in our old pal Josh from lorehound.com. Josh used to work with us at the Opie and Anthony show.
Yes.
Josh also was one of the guys that would go and do other conventions that we didn't do. Like he'd go to BlizzardCon.
Right.
And PAX and E3 and things like that. And what you may not know about Josh is a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, and he was in the thick of it. I was seeing posts, I was getting texts from him while he's drunkenly storming Broad Street, heading towards the to City Hall where people were launching projectiles in excitement. Josh, you there?
I certainly am.
Hi, sir.
Fingers and toes all intact.
Yay.
Glad to see that you're alive.
Yeah.
Well, so you didn't get to go to the game. Have you gone to any of the playoff games?
I haven't been to the playoff games. I've actually only been to one Eagles game, which was equally as messy as I think the NFC East Championship in the streets because it was all snow. So people were hurling snowballs at coaches, cheerleaders, referees, and they were packing them as tight as they could.
The city of brotherly
and I may have
love.
seen some beers fly as well.
So Super Bowl's going on. Everybody's watching the game. We'll discuss commercials and movie trailers a little bit later.
It was a good game.
It was a very good game. Even if you're not a football fan, the Super Bowl usually can be enjoyed by the casual observer. And the way this was going down is that the two teams, Boston, the New England Patriots, are always viewed as sort of the villain in the league.
Well, yeah,
because they had the Yankee quality where they had the money, they had the wins. So people were viewing them a bit like the Yankees. But they took it a step further and said, no, we have to go full-on Bond villain. And then, there's allegations of cheating and playbook stealing and all this other stuff.
All of that aside, by proxy, they are from Boston.
Right.
Ipso facto, they are villains. That's just how that works.
Right. If New York, any New York team is in any of the championships against anybody else in the country, New York's the villain. But
unless it's Boston.
It was a little different when you had Super Bowls where it was New England versus New York.
Sure.
Because that means it was the two cities duking it out as, Boston sucks, New York sucks. The rest of the country is like, I don't care about either of these teams. We're not going to watch. Another scenario this year, but this time it's Boston and Philadelphia.
Right.
Now, I'll put it this way. People view the East Coast as being villainous, as having a lot of money when it comes to sports and what have you, and also being very tough to play in those cities, because not just the fan base, the press is grueling. You get a lot more attention than if you were with like the
Kansas City
or Oklahoma. What are they called? The Thunder or something, like one of those teams. I know that's not football, but I'm just saying a smaller team in a smaller market is not going to get as scrutinized as an East Coast team. The East Coast team, technically, the group is New England, New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, to a lesser extent, and Washington, D.C. That pretty much locks up your solid East Coast
No
markets.
love for Buffalo?
No, they don't count.
They made it to the playoffs.
They're barely a second tier city. But
but they have the Buffalo Sabres. They're the only New York team that actually plays in the state of New York.
That nobody cares
when
about.
Eric says when Eric says the East Coast, he doesn't mean the entire East Coast. He kind of means
he just means like literally the tri-state area and Boston
and more. Yeah,
the Northeast Corridor.
Yeah, the Northeast Corridor. There you go.
No, but that's what's viewed as the East Coast teams. What team out of Providence, Rhode Island are you hearing about?
The Pawtucket Clams.
But Florida has some teams. They're technically
they're
the East
considered
Coast.
Florida. They're technically
that's
yes.
what I mean. That's what
but
I mean.
in the whole scheme of things, nobody views them as an East Coast team.
Correct.
They're Florida, or they're what's the division for college? SEC.
Sure.
For college football, they're not even viewed as the South. They're Florida. The South looks at them and goes, "No, that's Florida."
Let me make a wisdom check. You had no idea what SEC is.
Security Exchange Commissions.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Look at us trying to talk sports. Sports. So anyway, East Coast stuff. So now you have Boston and Philadelphia,
right?
And it's rooting for the two. Who are the lesser of the two evils, right?
Yeah.
And you look at it, and even the East Coast goes, it's all Philadelphia. It's like Philadelphia are the worst. Out of all of this, Philadelphia is the worst. And it's not because of the team, and it's not because of the players and all that. It's because of the fan base that ruins everything for that team.
Josh totally agrees with you with the nodding of the head and the handshake. Like a truck is about to hit him.
So when you're looking at the Patriots, when people say, why do you hate them? They say, well, because they won so much, but they also say Belichick, and they say Brady. Why do you hate Philadelphia? Those fans are assholes, man. Has nothing to do with the team. It's the city and the people who occupy that city are what ruin everything for everybody.
And we're happy with that.
Yes. And that's what brings us to having Josh on the show here, because after the Super Bowl, Philadelphia wins, obviously. And while the rest of the country is maybe watching This Is Us for the, finally the dad's dying, or they're watching the big Cloverfield announcement that Netflix made,
or they're eating Tide Pods,
or they're doing that too. Philadelphia goes. It's that dream from The Simpsons where the school's out and goes, let's torch this dump or something like that, and then the kids are just ruining the school.
Yeah.
That's what they did to the city of Philadelphia. And lo and behold, I'm looking at social media, and our pal Josh is storming Broad Street. And I said, oh no. Oh no, please let him be okay. And as the night was going into the day, I really didn't go to bed that night. I was following a lot of the police scanner link that was being sent around social media. I was following video clips that were going up. And then there was one particular clip with our buddy Josh here that I'll get into in a second. But Josh, tell us about the experience. Where did you watch the game, and what was post-game like?
So I watched the game from my friend's basement, right about a block away from Pat's and Gino's, the two big cheesesteak spots in South Philly. So it doesn't get much more South Philly than that neighborhood.
Really.
Yeah.
And we were there for the NFC Championship game too. And I want to take it back
for White America outside of Philadelphia. That is where they shot Motown Philly for the Boys to Men video,
and it's where the cheesesteak rivalry is.
Yes. Oh, the cheesesteak district.
Yeah, the cheesesteak district.
Go ahead, continue.
So I want to take it back to the NFC Championship game first, just to kind of encapsulate how brutal Eagles fans can be. There was a mock rivalry between the two oldest fans for the Vikings and the Eagles. It was this woman Millie and the guy from Philadelphia, and it was Millie versus Philly, right? And Bud Light had their whole thing where they did Philly instead of Dilly Dilly that week. Now, after the win, there were a bunch of guys in Philly walking around with a big spray painted bed sheet that said F Millie, Philly. They literally were carrying around like a 6x6 sheet that said F this 99-year-old woman. You know? So that's how brutal it can be. I mean, after the Super Bowl, though, that was one of those things. Everyone in where I was, we were all, this isn't happening. This can't be real. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. And then that final whistle blew, and it was just a mad dash to the jackets and jerseys and let's get outside. You know?
Can I ask you real quick?
It's like after a hurricane happens, everyone runs to the street to see the damage. You're like, oh, wait, it's safe to go outside now. It's like, but you're going into the hurricane.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, hey, let's get on board with this.
They're storm chasers.
Yeah, storm chasers, exactly.
So let me ask you this. Was there any sense of worry where, and I'll admit I was getting really excited because I wanted to see Boston win just because I like rooting for the bad guy kind of thing.
Then you should have rooted
when
for
they
the
got
Eagles.
down to the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, where it was almost possible that had he not screwed up that last thing, they could have scored a touchdown and won.
Look, I almost didn't leave that basement without a black eye because right before that happened, I stood up and I said, we could win this.
Right.
And everyone turned on me immediately. Thinking, I'm jinxing the game.
Yeah.
Get him out of here was basically the chant.
It's going to be like on the news.
But when that happened and that ball got stripped, I mean, that was
Again,
it.
another Simpsons moment where there's just a dead pause and they go, get him! And everyone starts pounding him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, you could hear, even before the game was done, you could hear the low roar like 6 blocks away from Broad Street. You could hear the of the cascade of just emotion that took over the entire city.
Okay, but that very last play, and I'm only bringing this up because I'm interested in the
long pass,
the psychological aftermath of this, or even during this event. When that was going to happen, it was like, oh my God, they're at the very last play of the game. If he catches this, they won. And Philadelphia, again, not only doesn't lose by like a blowout, loses by the closest margin ever to really add, salt to the wound of being the underdog team and being the worst team to succeed, which I know that contradicts, but it's like being the worst team to succeed in the NFL.
Yeah, they would have had to hit the touchdown, the 2-point conversion.
Would Philadelphia just hit the red button and just wiped itself off the map at that point?
Yeah, because they were in the lead almost the entire game, right?
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
But by accident.
Yeah, right.
a trick play, a touchdown where the ball leaves the hands and then he catches it again.
Yeah,
it was just.
And there was a thing, too. They always say that when it comes to playoffs and the Super Bowl that the refs are usually in New England's pocket.
Yeah.
That it always goes towards the Patriots. None of the calls went towards the Patriots on the close plays. And another thing, too, during the first half, nobody could kick the football. Like they would kick, it was not even near the goalpost. It wasn't even close. Like, oh, he just missed. Like it was hooked to the right, like a bad golf slice.
Laces out, Einhorn.
Yeah,
I tweeted that.
And it was both
point.
teams. It wasn't just one. Like both teams were running almost the same plays back to back. Where Nick Foles caught the football and scored the touchdown, but they tried it with Brady and Brady couldn't cut. It was the same play, and they all these teams were messing up the same plays all the time until that point.
Well, they just pushed the goalposts back this year, a couple of yards
to the parking lot.
Some of the kickers still are readjusting, and I think you've got these two kickers who know that this game could be on me. So that first quarter or two, they were probably a little nerve-wracked, going, okay, I got the farther kick, even though I'm used to this, it's still a little bit farther than I'm used to. And then they just shank it because pressure, right?
Yeah, I didn't see the missed kick, but I asked my roommate about it, and he was just like, "Oh, you could see it on his face as he was kicking." He was like, "This isn't going in. This is what's happening right now.
I'm not leaving here alive.
Yeah, like I'm gonna die." It's like that guy like who's mowing his lawn. He's like, "I'm up to my eyeballs in debt." Like those old commercials.
Yes, it wouldn't be. Oh, the Patriots won because they're good. It's going to be because the kicker shafted the thing to the right, and all of a sudden we didn't win because of that.
Well, Philly had a pretty good shank.
He would have been your Bill Buckner.
Spliced one off to the left, but then the most beautiful thing happened, and their kicker posted it. And it just hit that post and fell down all sad. Oh, I was so happy.
Oh, no, the football is turning into an overweight man.
3 looked at the TV, and he goes, womp, womp.
That first half, I'm watching it, I'm like, are they both on the take? Like, are they both trying to play bad, but they don't know the other team is also on the take? And it's just like, no, here's the ball, you go score a touchdown. Oops, I tripped. I didn't get the touchdown. What is going on here?
Practice ball, real.
So, all right, so all that happens. You're down to the last play, and I was sitting there. I'm like, oh, my God, this is like a script that Philadelphia
it was
could
like that Tony
lose.
Danza movie. The
Lose this
field goal kicking, garbage picking Philadelphia phenomenon.
Right.
It was just like that.
Philadelphia could lose this down at the last minute, and I said, this is going to end poorly. But they won. And then all the cameras cut to the city of Philadelphia, and I'm like, this is going to end poorly.
Except for the camera that cut to Kevin Hart trying to get on stage, and I thought that was like the funniest thing of him just getting pushed back.
Well, that was the one, and then the NFL Network was doing their pregame show, and he was already hammered. And he started dropping the F-bomb, and he goes, oops, drops the mic. He goes, I got to go. And he and he ran off the set. And they're like, no, it's okay, because it's technically a cable network, no FCC violation. And Kevin knew that he messed up, and he goes, nope, I got to go. And then he had his guy pulling him off the stage. Later, he put out a video. Also, TMZ talked to him, and he said, look, I knew it was my time to go. I messed up. And he goes, I wasn't going to help this situation, so I ran. It was very funny. You should look for that clip. So anyway, so the game's over. You guys win. Now the nation and the world are looking at the city of Philadelphia because everyone's just expecting the city to burn, and you guys did not disappoint.
Well,
it seems like it didn't seem like it was as bad as people were making it out to be.
Oh, it was bad.
First of all, there were a few million people at that party. Okay,
right.
There's always a couple of dicks.
Yeah.
But let me just put it this way, and Giddles and I were talking about this earlier. In any kind of parade or victory celebration in any major city, people go crazy, they're happy, but there's a reason why they're called isolated incidents. So, like, if there's a parade going on and say there was a drunk fight on a corner somewhere, or somebody threw a bottle at a car, or something like that, there's always dicks, but they're isolated incidents. The Philadelphia celebration was a network of isolated incidents that became a big issue because it
became an incident.
Yeah, it became a big problem. The first thing that we saw, at least on the national news feeds, was helicopter shots or maybe even drone shots over Broad Street going all the way down. Is City Hall at the end of Broad Street or somewhere?
It's in the middle. So
it's in the middle.
Broad Street goes from the like super North Philly all the way down to South Philly, and then in the middle you got City Hall and the little roundabout there, and then it goes down to the stadiums.
They're following Broad Street with the amount of people in there. Looks like an LA traffic jam, right? Yeah. And they get to City Hall and they do close-ups. There's people launching projectiles into City Hall. You're seeing
and scaling the fence too to try to get in to get their projectiles back, I guess.
They're hucking like solid objects. They're launching Roman candles and bigger fireworks into the building of City Hall. And I'm like, wow, well, if this is the worst that happens, then I guess Philly will be all right. Then no, then there's video starts surfacing of bonfires off side streets. Then people start rocking cars and start flipping cars over. Some people got on top of these white garbage trucks that were used to crowd control block areas. Yeah. We're rocking the garbage truck, trying to flip that thing over.
And painting them with nice messages to Tom Brady as well.
Right? So then more videos start coming out where people are scaling the street posts and the lights and what have you. But this one video shows up, and it reminiscing of Remember when Iraq was liberated and the people were throwing ropes around Saddam Hussein's statue to pull it down, right? They were doing this for crosswalk lights. They were just throwing lassos and they're like pull, doing this like huge group tug of war thing, pulling the thing down. This one video, it's off the mount.
Right.
It's wobbling a little bit. People are trying to hold it up, and the guy who's filming it with his camera goes, "Oh, look at that. Oh, shit." And the thing comes down and hits him in the head while he's taping. And you just see the camera in his hand go flying. And everyone's just laughing. You hear laughs before the video cuts off. No one's like, "Oh, my God, panic, try to help this guy." No. Everyone's like, look at the dick.
His arm's off.
Yeah. So there's that. There's the video of the guy who everybody crowds around. And this is where Philadelphia really started to shine. And this became the front page for everything about Philadelphia. A guy leans down and shoves his face into a pile of horse shit and starts eating it.
Oh.
With or without whiz?
Without whiz. And and everyone's just cheering and chanting him on and going crazy.
That'll get you sick.
Yeah, it would. It's kind of frowned upon, is what I'll say.
I don't think the medical community looks at that as something healthy.
Dude, you know that horse was laughing his ass. That horse is like, "Yo, that's my shit."
And then
literally.
And then I'm thinking, the logistics of this and trying to be logical. I'm just like, what if his boss sees this tomorrow? I was like, "Oh, you're the shitty guy."
He went back to work this week at some time. At some point.
He is the boss.
He works at one of said cheesesteak places. But the cops were high-fiving people. They were doing nothing. I don't know if they could do anything at that point.
Well, they're fans
too. They were laughing it off. I made a joke. I was sitting next to a gaggle of police officers at one point. There was a guy up on a roof he should not have been. And I said, "Yo, $10. Give me $10 and I'll go tackle that dude." And they all just laughed, they stood there and watched as he climbed up a greased pole and made his way on top of a little news hut.
Then they emptied their pockets, like
jumping up and down, and they're all like, "That's not a load-bearing roof. Something's gonna happen." And then he slipped his way into the crowd,
Yeah, they'd be like, "Well, we tried to collect the $10, but we only have $9.37 between us. Will you do it for that?"
And while that exchange was going on, some other guy just drops his drink and is like, "I'll do it for free," and goes running and dives right in and spears him like Goldberg.
And he just runs and tackles him.
So I want to hear Josh's story. We have him on. What is this video that you were telling me about? I didn't see the whole video.
So we left my friend's house and we made the walk out to Broad Street, high-fiving everyone on the way. Yeah. And I mentioned my son earlier. We did have him with us at the start. We got out to Broad Street. He's having a ball. He's yelling, Tom Brady's a crier and a loser, and high-fiving people, and they're all laughing because here's this little kid. And then a couple of lovely gentlemen decide to start lighting off mortar fireworks about 3 or 4 feet from where we were. So my son looks at me after the second one goes off, and he goes, "Dad, I don't like it. It's too loud. I want to go back to the house." So I gave him to my wife, and they walked back to the house. And I said, "Well, I can celebrate appropriately now."
Freedom.
I finished a couple of beers I'd stashed away in my pockets, and then somebody said, "Celebration champagne," and I said, "Give that bottle to me."
What Josh isn't telling you is he, unlike the kickers, he punted his child back home right through the door and went goal.
Yeah, right into the bed.
I gave him to somebody who looked like a neighbor and was like, just make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
But, so you're wandering
we
the
took
streets.
off down Broad Street, and it just it was a sight to see. You had the drones flying overhead. There were helicopters and stuff too, but they were flying the drones for that footage, and they had parked, I guess, those garbage trucks earlier in the night, just expecting this to happen. And we were there maybe 10 minutes after the game, and there were already mobs of people on top of, the garbage trucks and just covering every square inch of open space.
Did they leave the garbage in the trucks, or did they
I
just?
Hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. If not, it was easier cleanup, right?
Yeah.
But I ran into a group of guys who had some fireworks on them, and they had varying sizes of fireworks. So I just grabbed what I could from them. And I was like, "Let me see some." And I just took them and walked away. Because, we're all having fun. No one's going to get angry. And
how'd that turn out for you?
So, well, I found someone with a lighter and lit the thing off. And I expected it. What should have happened, okay, is those type of, it's like a giant bottle rocket, essentially.
Right. That was a big bottle rocket. Or
small more. It should take off by itself.
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
It didn't. it stayed in my hand. So at some point, I'm blind drunk enough that I'm just gonna see what happens at this point. My friend goes, if you listen to the video with the audio, my friend goes, "Let it go, buddy." So I let it go, and it doesn't take off up. It takes off sort of up and back, and then rains.
I was describing it as the arc that you see when a space shuttle takes off. It doesn't go. It looks like it's going straight up, but if you're at a distance, it's making a really steep curve.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just missed his head and launched and exploded into the people behind him.
Nice.
Took out the bridge that said last.
And there's
bridge
one
out of
guy
town.
on the video who just goes, "Whoa," as he blows up into the people behind him.
Yeah.
And I had to yell at Josh. I go, "You realize you're a father, right? You can't be going out and doing these kind of things."
Look, I can still parent a child 1 or 2 fingers less.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Thankfully, I do have all my digits today. But that was when my wife watched it, and she goes, "That's funny." And then she watched it again. She goes, "You're an idiot."
Yeah, it's gonna be making math a lot easier. Yeah, it's like 10 plus 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I have to round down to the nearest common denominator every time.
So
common
besides
denominator is the
besides
firework.
blowing yourself up and then blowing up the people behind you, what other madness did you see while walking the streets after the victory there?
Well, I saw there was like a kid, probably like 8 or 9, who was walking with his family, and he had a coffin, a wooden coffin painted black that just said Tom Brady R.I.P. number 12 on this coffin. Pretty awesome. And then someone goes, "You won't," and someone bolts out of the crowd and tackles the coffin out of this kid's hand and rolls down the street, gets up and runs away.
That's awesome.
This kid, his Tom Brady coffin is,
Smashed.
behind him in the
Yeah.
street, and he's got an angry family. I mean, there were some stores that got that had some rowdy customers. We'll say there was a Sunoco that
I heard about the Sunoco.
Is it a Sunoco?
Yeah. Wait, was the video? The video was a Wawa or Sunoco?
So Sunoco got looted. A Wawa got
the Wawa.
ransacked,
I saw the
and then
food
Macy's
fight.
lost a couple of windows.
Right.
So
all right.
I mean,
let's start with the
ultimately,
Wawa thing. Then.
I wouldn't call it a full scale riot. I would just say people
fun
having
fight.
a good time.
Friendly fire.
Friendly fire. I like that.
The video of the Wawa where the people just like one guy hucked something across aisles.
Yeah.
And then everyone goes, "Okay," and everything starts being thrown around in the Wawa.
And all I can think to
and there's a
myself
guy
is,
outside the window, which is the smartest place to be, with his phone up against the glass.
Yeah, just filming it.
And you hear at one point, boom, like when something hits the glass.
Yeah.
Because his phone was right up against the glass there. And you're just watching chaos.
all I can think to myself is the next morning, some guy that trashed that Wawa is going to go in there to get his coffee. And I hope the shop owner just kneecaps him.
I'm telling you, it's going to be the same guy.
Yeah.
He's going to walk in there and be like, "Oh, man, this place is a shit. I need a coffee. Oh, fuck, I'm the manager. Like, I did this. I'm on the
Oops.
camera." Yeah. Wawa living up
I
to
know
its
that I
name.
got the greatest text message of my life about 4:00 in the morning. That was from my boss, who I was supposed to meet with on Monday. He just said, "Let's call tomorrow a wash. I'll see you Tuesday." I have a day that I can just lay around. So I haven't been hungover like that in a long time.
Just pictures showing up like covered in duct tape. It's been a rough day, man.
Yeah, right.
Why don't you go to the hospital? Duct tape.
Yeah.
I did it myself. So we talked about Wawa. He said Macy's had their storefront windows blown out.
Busted out, but nobody took anything. So
No,
like,
it was just
that's a step in the
it
right
was
direction.
Just, friendly
Didn't get
fire,
looted.
as we've been calling it.
This is
Happy
expensive.
destruction. But then one of the funnier videos that showed up was everyone climbing on the canopy above the Ritz-Carlton, which is it's a semicircle,
right?
And it's structured to resist wind, rain, what have you, but not a metric ton of people climbing on top of it. And one guy was on there and going nuts, and everyone's like, "Oh, crazy!" So he turns around backwards and does like a stage dive off of the thing to where I don't know if people caught him or
No,
not. I
they
hope
didn't.
they didn't. Oh, they did.
No, they did not.
Okay, so he lands
he's
flat
dead.
on the street,
Right.
And he's dead.
No, he faked. This is the greatest thing. This dude faked his death. He hits the ground after jumping off the canopy, lays there for a second. Everyone's like, oh my God. Then he gets up with his hands in the air and everyone just goes nuts. That's the greatest thing.
The old Jerry Maguire.
So he does that. Then the camera pans over to a streetlight right near it where a guy's on top completely naked. And he's just, shaking what he's got and waving and dancing. Then a little later, another video shows up at the same Ritz-Carlton where everybody's now climbing on top of the thing and the thing gives way. And it's just like, it's like you fell into somebody's already opened parachute.
Yeah.
And now you're both screaming to the ground as this whole gaggle of people goes flying into the street.
Yeah, if that was a video from a wedding, you'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's like a Philly, so you're like, or a Philadelphia thing. It's crazy.
All the insurance
Everyone
companies
cheered
must
for
have
it. It
loved
was like
this.
they wanted it to happen. I mean, you don't put 25 people on an awning thinking like, oh yeah, this will be good.
Yeah,
It's like they wanted to break it and it broke. So everyone around them just cheered because mission success.
Accomplished.
We did it. Yeah.
Move on to the next target.
It's like the fans are just like locusts. It's just like.
The one person that I don't feel bad about the next day was the guy. So they flipped a car not too far from there in Center City, and one of the kids throws his back up against the bottom of the car and he's beating his chest. Because he's a real man. And then the cops got him the next day because they're like, you're an idiot. There's cameras everywhere. Everyone was filming this, and you looked into all these cameras.
You were on every major news organization.
Yeah, closed circuit television.
For hours.
So here's something to think about. So all this happens. We saw the videos of cops high-fiving and not doing anything. So we fast forward several days to where we're at the parade now for the victory. Do the people who cause all this damage, do they get caught? Do they get arrested?
I'm sure some of them do.
Yeah.
How come we haven't heard these stories yet? Or are they still looking for them?
Well, we just heard one of them.
Nobody wants to hear about Macy's taking some weird dude from North Philly to civil court for, breaking a window.
Right. You know what? I would think that some of the bigger companies like Macy's and Ritz-Carlton, unless a guy is actually on camera and caught, that's a different story. But those companies probably are all insured for this stuff. Not that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Right. That doesn't make it okay, but it's to them it's probably just
I have a question about this line on our policy.
And
let's see, rioting?
Yeah.
Do I need riot insurance?
You have to buy a Superbowl rider.
Yeah. I mean, any city that could potentially have the G20 summit, they're going to have to take out some sort of insurance, right?
Yeah,
right, exactly. Exactly.
So let's. Was there anything else that you saw firsthand while celebrating in the streets before we get to the parade?
I'm sure there was, but after that video was taken, my recollection of the night was piecemealed back together in the following days. So,
well, we'll ask our listeners if you because I reposted your video on my Instagram there at IHeartRadio. If you recognize Josh from the crowd, if you've seen him in other videos, please tag us so we can let him know what he was up to for the rest of the evening.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Scene missing, the end.
Yes. Yes. It's Josh's own personal memento.
Yeah.
So we fast forward now to the parade. Did you get to go to the parade, or did you just?
I stayed away. Too
away?
much worrying about parking and 4 million people in the city for the parade.
That's a lot.
Just to watch
Well, they hadn't left since Sunday. They were just sitting there waiting for the parade to start.
All their cars burned. They couldn't leave.
I mean, the streets were already closed, right? So just
we're just gonna live
sleeping
here.
Bag and pack up.
People could sleep outside for a week to get a fucking phone.
Yeah.
So, but you followed the parade, right? You were sending me some links of stuff. Give us the recap of the parade. What happened there?
So I had one of my sisters was there with her family. They're huge Eagles fans, and so they went down to the parade. They took all the kids, and they said it was a wonderful family-friendly thing. Everybody was super nice. They saw people climbing onto roofs again, but this time was just to watch. It wasn't to wreck.
Yeah.
So people were being a little bit more reserved with their celebration today. My main bit of focus though is around some of my friends who work for Anheuser-Busch because Bud Light had promised if back at the beginning of the playoffs, no one thought Philly was going to win. So they said, if Philly wins the Super Bowl, we're buying everyone in Philadelphia a beer. Everyone gets a Bud Light. And so I watched from Sunday until today, I watched all of my friends because I used to work for Anheuser-Busch, and I watched everyone I knew at that company just chase their tail for 4 days going, what are we doing? How do we do this? What are the logistics of buying everyone in the city a beer? And somehow they they managed to get through today unscathed, but I'll have to get a recap.
I'll tell you how you do it. Blimps with hoses.
Yeah.
Just park
I think
it.
that would have been much more economical than what they ended up doing.
Yes, hover over the Broad Street and just release the valves and let it deflate.
There you go.
And then it sails softly into the night.
I mean, if people are going to eat horse shit off the street, they will drink beer off the street. Like, let's just put it there.
Very true.
Just set up troughs. And
Yeah,
that's it.
big funnels.
But one of the things to me that really stood out though today was Jason Kelsey, who's a player for the Eagles. He basically cut a wrestling promo at the end of the parade. They made it up the parade route all the way to the art museum, incident free, and then he took to the microphone for a 5-minute speech that was anger fueled and called out everyone in the NFL who doubted them, was naming people from the NFL network. Like, this guy said we didn't have a snowball's chance in hell. F him. And then F everyone, and started, there's a chant that the Philadelphia Union soccer team used that's no one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. And go so forth. He starts doing
I want that.
Yeah, we need it for our show.
You've got 4 million people echoing that back to him, and he's up there screaming about the NFL and how no one thought the Eagles were going to do anything, and naming people on the Eagles and saying they said he couldn't catch. They said Nick Foles was no good. Our coach was the worst coach in history. And
right.
Oh man, he got everybody fired up in an expletive laced wrestling style promo today.
And wasn't he in like full like mummers garb too?
Yeah, so that was the other thing is everybody expected this parade to be like a big deal, right? We were told yesterday by the guy organizing the whole thing, for over 40 years we've been planning this parade. It's going to be dramatic and emotional, and we're going to bring the best that Philadelphia has to offer to this parade, and everyone's going to celebrate. You know what they brought? About 20 cops on bikes riding in front of a city tour bus that was wrapped in a green Eagles thing that was like Go Eagles, and then the team on top of the city bus.
Wait, I need to correct you. Hold on a second. It's Eagles. Go Eagles. Eagles.
Eagles?
Yes.
Eagles.
For anyone outside of Philadelphia, they have horrible diction.
I'm trying to tone down my my regional accent. So
there's a
so
video
people can actually
online
understand what I'm
that
saying.
Saturday Night Live did where they had it was in revolutionary times.
Yes.
Where the city of Boston was fighting with the city of Philadelphia. And the job Tina Fey does doing the horrific Philadelphia accent is on point. So
yeah,
she definitely checked it out. We'll put it up on our page as well for you to look.
She's from down here. She's from Ardmore, Pennsylvania.
Oh, is she?
Yeah,
well, that's why she nailed it then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some relatives who are in the Bristol Township area of Pennsylvania, and they don't say karaoke, they say karaoke. They're like, we're going to go out and do karaoke today. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. They're like, oh, when you sing and they have the words on the screen. I'm like, oh.
Apparently they say crayon weird too, right?
Crown. It's crown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
look, when you got New York, when you have the New York accent and the Boston accent making fun of the Philadelphia accent,
That's
it's really bad.
That's something to behold.
Yeah.
And some guy from Texas like, look at all these guys.
So that's what happened with the parade. And at the end of his speech, he pointed at the WrestleMania sign.
Yeah.
So he's going to WrestleMania as well. So everyone's having a good time. You had a good time. Anything else that we maybe didn't cover or something to point out from your experience with this whole Super Bowl?
I'm really stoked that it finally happened.
Right.
That's I did think about going and braving the city today just because this is like a once in a lifetime, because it is the first time ever. But
and the
I
last.
mean, that was it. I don't know. It was a great time was had by all except for the manager of Wawa.
I'll tell you this. One of the things that does actually get me as a human being is when they show these lifelong fans, these elderly people. Like, there was one guy in the stands in Minnesota that I think he's like 99 years old, and that guy is on borrowed time. He looks okay, but he's on borrowed time. And when they show those stories, like he's a military veteran and all this hardship or whatever he dealt with in his life, and there's this old man going to watch his team finally win an event. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for or whatever. You look at that and you go,
Screw him. Go Eagles.
Yeah, exactly.
He was supporting you.
And with that,
Yeah, and that man died by a bottle rocket in the street.
We can only hope.
some reckless young hooligan.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to get any.
No sympathy.
past that.
This isn't This Is Us. This isn't football.
That's it. It's done.
All right, Josh,
No
give the
sympathy.
plugs out for where everybody can find your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're into video gaming, online games, lorehound.com. Check out Neshaminy Creek Brewing Company, NeshaminyCreekBrewing.com. Awesome beer if you're in the New York, Jersey, Pennsylvania area. And then also InEffectHardcore.com is, if you're into hardcore metal type music, go check it out.
That would be Giddles.
Yay.
I think we have to venture down to that brewery. Do
All
a
right,
showdown.
let's
Should.
do it.
That's where all like my cousins live. They went to like Neshaminy High School. They all have like Neshaminy football jerseys, and I remember the signs for Neshaminy Creek as it ran through their backyard.
Yeah, man, you said
Neshaminy.
Bristol Township.
Yep, that's right there.
Yeah,
All right, so let's make that happen, Josh. We'll come down there and do a show.
absolutely. Do it Hops and Headlocks. We're doing a wrestling event in the brewery where we're taking on another brewery. Wrestle Pro from Jersey's coming in, and we're going to do that March
Billy just
17th.
has to fight.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, is this like a scheduled event, or is just like we're taking them in? Like,
No, they're calling the other brewery out and hoping they show up.
yeah, it's not legal if you invite them over.
They're going to show up all blindfolded.
They're going to show up on a tank
scared.
like when WWF invaded WCW. They'll be there at the doors yelling for them to come out.
It's gonna be like Saw.
All right, make that happen, Josh. We'll come down there and we'll travel down on a Saturday or something.
Yeah,
Do
that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
take care.
Cool. You too, man.
Oh, it was great to talk to Josh again.
Yeah, he's a good
Philadelphia's
person. I like
all
that
kinds
young
of
man.
fucked up.
Yeah.
So before we take a break, I want to get into the reason why Matt wasn't here.
Oh, sure.
Last week. This is kind of exciting. What the story is about to tell you. So we get word that not that it was last minute. Even if it was fine. But something was coming up about Matt's birthday, that his wife was going to surprise him for his birthday, and they were going on a trip somewhere. Not much was known to us past that point.
I didn't know anything.
So, thus the surprise.
Yeah.
So we're okay, fine. And he's gonna go and have a good time, and he did. So he disappears, and this is where I'll throw it to you. What happened?
So, I'm turning 40
Right.
this year. I'm getting older. And so my wife just wanted us to go away, just the two of us. And I didn't know we were going away first.
Right.
And then when I found out we were going away, I didn't know where we were going. I found out where we were going when I got to the airport and someone handed me a boarding pass.
Oh, nice.
With a destination on it.
See, that's a cool vacation. You have no idea where
I
you're
had
going.
no idea. All I knew.
Well, in today's age, it would be you're being deported.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
No, all I knew is I was told to pack for warm weather. That's all I knew.
Yeah, because we were speculating. I'm like, right now he's probably eating a giant turkey leg somewhere with like a goblet of mead. But where were you?
Right. So I was in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Which is not a bad place to be.
This time of year.
It was 80 degrees.
This is why I always say how great it is.
Yeah, the weather was beautiful. I got to be honest with you. I want to go back down in 2 weeks for the comic convention that's going on. Comic-Con Revolution is in the Palm Beach Convention Center in like 2 weeks.
No, that's Dance Revolution.
Oh, my apologies.
It's France Revolution. They're cutting off heads.
Hey-o. But we should have a military parade about it. But so I didn't know where I was going until I got to the airport. And West Palm Beach, I've never been there before. To me, it didn't, I didn't know why we were going. I was like, well, that's cool. It's nice. It's warm. Okay. And so that's all I knew, West Palm Beach. So we get there, whatever, you go out to dinner. We had a great dinner out on the water. I had some lobster.
Where did you stay?
Scallops. A local hotel, small hotel.
No, but
in
I mean,
town.
we
were in West Palm Beach.
No, I know, but I'm saying West Palm Beach is more of a rectangle than it is up and down. I'm saying, were you closer to the water?
No.
Were you by the intercoastal, by the beach?
So the one thing I learned about, no matter where you are in West Palm Beach, you're about 10 minutes from everything.
Right.
Okay.
So West Palm Beach, it's got the main part, and then there's like you cross a bridge and you're on a little island.
Right.
You cross another bridge and you're on another little strip.
Yeah, that's where those little islands with their own bridges are where the really wealthy.
That's where the
people-
money is.
Yeah.
No, I was in the main part. But I mean, it was.
So you were by A1A.
1A, what?
Beachfront Avenue.
Oh yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, we went down to the beach. We went to the water. There was a man of war warning
Oh, the big jellyfish.
Yeah, so I didn't go in the water. I walked the water.
Were there any on the beach?
I didn't see any on the beach.
Those are
Thank
fun
God.
to look at because they look horrific.
Yeah, no.
This is an alien.
I saw idiots swimming in the water, and I was like, why would you do that?
They were from Philly.
I would have cheered them on. Yeah, they're from Philly.
Yo, I got a man of war.
But
he's wearing it like a hat. Look, I'm a Hasidic Jew.
Oh, jeez, Eric.
Wow, this is just getting ugly. So the first day we were there, I didn't know what was going on. The next day, I'm told, well, look, the reason we're here is today. There's something special.
We're
going
rescuing
on today.
Cubans.
That's it. So I didn't know. So I was like, all right, cool. So, I get up, I eat breakfast, we get dressed, we get in the car.
So that's all right. So you get down a day before everything's going to happen.
Yeah, so we fly out on Friday. I get there early Friday. First class, by the way. It was nice and relaxed.
Who'd you
It was a nice
fly?
flight. United.
Okay.
But it was a nice, relaxing flight.
Good.
United was good to us.
They didn't drag you from your seat.
They
kicking
didn't
and
drag me
screaming.
from my seat. I didn't get a bloody nose.
They didn't make you flush your hamster down the toilet.
They did not make me flush
man.
my
Did you
hands.
see that story?
What? No.
It was a real story. There's a lady who had an emotional support hamster that she had supposedly had cleared to fly with her on Spirit Airlines to go down to Florida. When she got there, TSA let her through, but the airline said you were not allowed to have this, and she had other proof saying that she cleared this ahead of time. They said your options are that you can let him go free, or you're going to have to flush him down the toilet. And according to the article, the lady was in the bathroom in a stall crying for 10 minutes because she flushed her thing down the toilet.
First of all, that's just stupid because I would think that would cause a major problem in the plumbing.
Yeah, like
that's
not safe.
That's not safe at all.
Yeah.
No.
And second of all, I hope she sues the shit out of them.
You're right.
That's how Kevin Hart got his airline in Soul Plane, because his dog fell out of the plane and got sucked through the engine, and
There
then
you
he
go.
owned the airline.
I will say,
Soul Plane's great. I watched
there
it
was
last
like
I've never seen it.
there were
it's
like
so good.
10 dogs. There were like 10 dogs on our flight.
All
A lot
support
of them.
animals. Yeah.
No, actually they weren't. They were all.
Oh, wait. Yes, if they're under 20 pounds or something like that, they can fly.
There was
with
one
you.
or two that were under 20 pounds. No, the rest of them actually were not even support animals, but they were like support animals in training.
Right.
They had the vests on. That
So
said
there's
this
support animals.
Well, because if they're training those dogs to help someone with disabilities, they have to take them through all the practical scenarios that person could experience, which includes flying.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a huge golden retriever sitting across from me on the way back.
That would make me so happy.
Oh, he was awesome. He was
I would
such
be so
a.
happy. I'd be like, what a great flight. What a good boy. He's like,
He was awesome the whole flight. But
Would
anyway,
you like a free movie?
Yeah.
No,
No,
there's a
the
dog
dog,
right
yeah.
next to me.
then they put on Air Bud. You're like, oh my God.
best flight ever.
Get us pork rinds. Come on, let's just.
So I had no idea what we were doing at all. So then the next day, normal day, and I'm like, all right. So the thing we have to be at is at 3:00, but we can go to the place a couple hours early,
Right.
and kill some time. Okay, I have no idea what we're doing. So then we're driving, and we pull up to the Palm Beach Zoo, and I'm like, well, this is odd.
I forgot Palm Beach had a zoo.
You know what? And it's not a huge zoo, but it's also not a small zoo. Like, we killed a good 3.5 hours
It's a
walking around.
Zoobly Zoo.
It is a Zoobly Zoo. Ooh. With Ben Vereen as the
Right.
mayor.
I thought you were going to say in a cage, and I was going to say that's racist.
No,
but-
no. So as we're walking up to the zoo, they have this big sign out front that says Palm Beach Zoo Animal Experiences. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. And I'm reading what they are.
Are
It's
you
like,
thinking that, you're going to have to clean out a cage or something?
Yeah.
But I'm reading what they are, and it's like, there's like a sloth experience and a flamingo experience. And then I saw on the sign,
Sloth experience.
capybara experience. And I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. I knew it right away.
All right.
And it was awesome.
All right. Capybara.
Yes.
What is that?
It's an ROUS. do you know Princess Bride? Rodents of unusual size. It is.
Oh, right.
It
Yeah,
is.
I haven't seen that
It
movie
is
for a long.
technically the largest rodent. It's closely related to a guinea pig.
Yeah, it looks like it's the size of like a pot-bellied pig, but it's like a hamster.
It is huge.
It's kinda crazy
It is
looking.
several hundred pounds.
Capybara, right?
Correct.
All right. So
Capybara.
if you want
Capybara.
to Google along at
and
home.
they're so cute.
It's one of these animals that, like, if you ask me why I like capybaras, like, I couldn't tell you what triggered it. I just decided one day that I loved.
Can I have a hug?
Yeah.
Look at that guy.
I just
If I
decided.
kill all the gophers, they're gonna lock me up.
I just decided I love capybaras.
Yeah.
They have them at the local zoo here in New Jersey. They have a couple of them. So whenever we go there, and I'm a member there, so
How
all
did
the
you
time.
discover this animal? Because this is not an animal that most people would know.
No,
of.
you know what? I probably saw them at maybe the San Diego Zoo or the Bronx Zoo.
I was hoping you say, "Well, my basement was infested." with
They're everywhere.
Well, you see, they were cleaning out the tank on an airplane, and it got really big from eating all the shit. From
Never
when they
feed a
flushed it.
hamster after midnight.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God! I just picture Bing Crosby's voice when you look at this thing.
Oh yeah,
is it trying to fist bump a potato chip? Like, what is
he
it
might
doing?
be trying to eat the potato chip. So
How you doing?
So they're native to South America. They are actually farmed down there.
Right.
You could use their fur for clothing, and you can actually eat them.
Oh.
But
you didn't eat them.
No, I did not eat them. No.
He was at the zoo.
But so
They frown upon that.
So my wife surprised me with the capybara.
Yet they're
experience.
served at the snack bar.
Yeah.
And it was it turned out it was just the two of us that had participated, and they take you into one of the exhibits. Like we walked into an exhibit, and it was also the flamingo exhibit, and there were all these crazy cranes. And
What was the name of the capybara? They're like, oh, here's Jim.
Doris.
Oh, really?
Was the name of the capybara. And
did they introduce you to it? Like, hey, Doris, this is
Yeah.
Kate and Matt. They're gonna be hanging out with you for a little bit. Get to know each other. They might pet you.
No touching. You're not allowed to pet them.
Oh, you can't.
They're
Oh,
not allowed to pet them. No, you know what? I think it's because they're afraid they would spook. And it's
they
also a
might bite you.
liability.
They got pretty big teeth.
Oh yeah, they're huge. But you get to feed them.
Oh, see, that's close enough.
So yeah,
Were you like, I'm gonna feed you, sneak in a little pet here and there?
Well, she's like and while you're doing this, there are two zookeepers there with you, and they kind of give you like this whole like background and all this information. You can ask any kind of questions you want. They talk to you about just the animals in general, their habitat and what they're used for, what they eat, and their experience at that particular zoo and all. It was really informative. It was really interesting. And she's like, look, she might come up to you if you're uncomfortable. If you just stand up, she knows that means to just back away. I'm like, I'm not fucking standing up. I don't care. And she kept on like rubbing up against my knee.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's okay. I don't care. But they eat she ate like a huge head of kale, a huge head of romaine lettuce, and then like eight full banana leaves.
They eat like an elephant.
Oh my God. And,
like a hipster.
And she's like, oh, and this is just a snack for her.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a couple 100 pounds.
Let me ask you, was it driving you nuts that this thing is cuddling up next to you, like almost like my dog does when you show up at the house? He's on your leg, rubbing up against you, and you can't pet the thing?
No,
that would drive me nuts.
I mean, you want to just because, but at the same time, like, I get it. It's a wild animal still. Sure, it's probably used to humans to a certain degree, but even the zookeepers weren't petting her. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm sure the zookeepers aren't like, all right, everyone's gonna, who's a cute capybara, and they're like cuddling up next to it.
So look at the teeth. It looks like
oh no, do they? Yeah,
looks like a weird
teeth.
bottle opener.
So
it's like a beaver.
There are a lot of states in the United States where you can actually own them as a pet.
Ooh. What states are these?
I know you can own them in California, Arizona, Texas. There's a bunch. There's a lot.
I would totally walk around with that thing on a leash.
So when we get there, she's like, so why did you want to come and do the capybara experience? And I'm like, you know what? I'm really fascinated. I really like them. They're just awesome. And I just want to kind of learn more about them. So she goes, well, I'm glad you said you didn't want one as a pet. And I'm like, well, why?
Because I'm sure a lot of people do.
And she goes, well, a lot of people come here and they want to do this experience. And the reason they want to do it is because they want them as a pet. And this is kind of like their first foray into it. She goes, but when they're pets, they normally don't live past a year or 2 years. In the wild, they live like 6 or 7 years. And in captivity, they can live up to almost 14 years.
Oh, wow.
She goes, because people don't realize what you need to, like, they're very social animals.
You have to walk and
so
feed them?
you have to have like 3 or 4 of them. They like water.
So you're saying they die from depression?
They die from malnutrition. They die from it's not depression, but what happens is when you're a pack animal like that, or when you live in a social environment, because they don't even need other capybaras. They just need other animals. Because at this zoo, they had to actually separate the capybaras that they had because they were kicking the shit out of each other.
Oh, shit.
So she's like, but what happens is their cortisol levels go up if they're not around enough animals. And so they get overly stressed and their heart gives out.
Oh, jeez.
So she's like, we don't want people to have them as pets. This is actually educational, like, don't have them as pets. Unless, like you can. You know, that woman that had the woman that had it in the harness. Yeah, so this woman.
That's just ridiculous.
He's wearing a little Mexican
That woman is
sombrero.
actually very well known. She has like some huge zoo. Or, not zoo. She has some huge, like, plot of land, and it's like a rescue.
Okay.
Like down south, and she's known for having capybara.
Okay.
But it was just a really cool, weird, completely surprising experience. Oh yeah, they're adorable.
That's amazing.
Is he just riding that turtle?
Yeah, he's
probably.
lazy. They're sleeping on top of a turtle.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, and when they're born, they're super tiny. But she was I think she said she was like almost 300 and something pounds. Wow. Huge.
Wait,
she was monstrous.
So how old was that one? Did they say?
She was
Like, do they get that big in the year? Like,
no,
before they die, or do they get like big guinea pig size?
well,
and then,
she
like,
no
pass
no
away?
she no she was full grown.
Okay.
So the one I had was the one I saw was full. Doris was full grown.
But I mean, like the ones
But
that
that's
people
average-
take home.
Yeah, they get that big.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. They're born small, but they get big. You know, they're full grown probably within the
Well,
year.
I mean, if they're eating that much,
Yeah.
they're gonna get big pretty fast.
But like they're really susceptible to scurvy.
Yarr.
So like in the wild, they eat like a stupid amount of greens in the wild. So much so that if you have them as a pet, you can't give them what they need nutritionally. You have to give them supplements. They give them vitamin C tablets.
Oh wow.
Like they have to give them tablets to get enough vitamin
Instead
C
of
to
just
avoid.
feeding them citrus or something.
Well, I guess they don't. I don't know if they eat citrus directly. They get their vitamin C from greens.
Okay.
Like kale is really rich in vitamin C. But if you're 400 pounds and you rely on it, you need a lot of fucking kale. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's
So,
hurtful. I agree with
and
that
vitamin C
definitely.
tablets are probably a lot smaller.
Yeah.
and easier
And cheaper.
They grind them up
And
and
you
they
can
put
just-
them in
yeah,
the
you just throw it
food
right
and-
into anything.
and they eat it. You know.
Yep.
Or they put like they said they really like corn. So they'll like make a paste out of it and they'll put it on the corn and they eat the corn.
Or they
There's
just
just-
play corn
There's
in the
just
background
tons of
while they're
photos.
eating
I'm
it.
looking up the zoo here. There's just photos, and it's adorable. They're all just like baking in the sun.
Yeah.
They're just laying there all passed out, much
Yeah.
like Philadelphia.
But yeah, it was a really unique,
So
like
wait,
strange, awesome experience.
so when you were there, like, were you there specifically for that, or could you go to any of the other experiences while you were there?
So-
Like, I didn't know how it works.
So you have to still pay for regular zoo admission.
Okay.
And then you pay an additional fee to do the experience. So
it's not just like one place where you get in and then it's like a petting zoo type thing where you can go around to all the different exhibits.
no.
Okay.
Did you have to
like
make a reservation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My wife had booked this like months ago.
No, but I mean,
Wow.
it's not like you can just show up at
You
the zoo
can as
and
long as
then-
it's not booked.
Okay.
Like I
Which
mean,
I'm
we-
sure something like that
right.
is always booked.
We were there during the off season, so we happened to be the only two people there for that exhibit. But for the sloth exhibit that same day, they had two of them that day and both were booked.
Wow.
Like solid. I don't know how many people. And look, I would imagine that they probably cap it at like 5-6 people tops because
Right.
they probably don't want a ton of people in there with the animals.
Yeah, to drive the animals crazy.
Right. So, but it was awesome. I had the zoo itself was a really nice zoo. We had a great time. And the experience was awesome. And then the rest of the time I was just in Palm Beach. You know, you're on
What else did you do in Palm Beach?
we went to the beach the one day. We walked around and,
Right.
we went down to like City Block or City
Place.
City Place.
Yeah.
We did that and we got some great food. There was some really good places to eat and, it was cool. There was a place down there that I think must
Called
be
Kokomo?
No, not Kokomo. No, but there was a place down there. I don't know if it's a franchise or it was a one-off, but it would do gangbusters in New Jersey. Called
Really?
Sweet Tomatoes.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think we saw that place when we were down in
Miami.
Miami.
Let me
Yeah.
see.
I had a feeling it was probably all around
I think it's like
Florida.
a Florida chain
Yeah.
type thing.
So it's pretty much like
It's a soup and... No, wait, that's
It's-
not the place.
it's
I'm thinking
Super
of.
salad?
No.
it's a buffet joint, but it's primarily a salad bar.
Okay.
So you walk in
That's
and
what I
it
was
is a
going to say. It's
huge
a big
salad
bar
bar.
place.
Right? It's a huge salad bar. You pay
Perfect
what-
place to bring a capybara.
Yeah, blah. So you pay whatever you pay. You eat your salad, and then they have
$15
like,
all you can eat.
That's it.
Perfect.
And then but they have a bunch of other foods and then like desserts and stuff like that. But I could just see that doing really well.
Yeah, that's the place.
Okay.
Yep, that's-
yeah, we
yeah.
saw that place.
I know
Yeah,
that
it
place.
was good. The food there was, for a fast food place, it was pretty good. That was the only fast food we ate. I think we went to Denny's one morning for breakfast because it was fucking Denny's.
There's
It's not
some,
even really like
yeah,
fast food.
I know exactly.
There's some like a lot of Florida. There's weird balance, off balance, I'll say,
Yeah.
as far as financial status
Right.
in that area. So it's like you're either really rich or you're in the retail and food service industry. There's some great restaurants in that area, but a lot of the more casual places usually tend to be a smaller but a chain.
Right.
Like there's a lot of, sports bar, pub kind of places down there.
Well, we went to this one place that was not a chain. It was a one-off. I think it was called Frigates, and it's right on the water. And when you pull up to it, you're like, oh, this is a total like sports bar type scenario. And that's what it was. They had a bunch of TVs and like there were like 3 different bars in the place. There was indoor seating, outdoor seating. But then you sit down and you look at the menu and nothing on the menu is cheaper than like 20, 25 bucks, 40, 50 bucks for some of the higher end. Like the jambalaya, which I almost got, was like 40 bucks. And I didn't get it because it was 40 bucks. I just saw something I really wanted instead.
Well, especially around the waterfront. Yeah. That's a lot of big money.
Well, I got lobster and scallops.
It's not just retired people down there with a lot of money. It's also a lot of people. West Palm is what are they?
But it was all families that were there.
Oh, they call it. I don't know if they call it or if New York calls it, but they call it like Hampton South.
Yeah.
So if you don't
Sounds
have
horrible.
if you live in the tri-state area or in Manhattan and you have a lot of money, chances are you have a place out in the Hamptons on Long Island. A lot of them have places down in that area of West Palm Beach, right on the water. So even a place like this, you're like, oh, a sports bar, kind of thing. Yeah, is a lot of money.
But it was. I mean, we ate at a Mexican establishment as well. I had a pitcher of mojitos and I had some banging food there too.
Nice.
Like a nice skirt steak and a bunch of yummy goodness. But yeah, no, it was a great couple of days. We had a really good time.
Did
Sunday
you go
night
down by Worth Avenue where all the big money stores are? It's not to go shopping, but it's a very nice area to walk around and look.
We did not.
Worth
no.
Avenue where like Tiffany's is there. And
no,
Gucci
we didn't. I know what you're talking about.
Sounds horrible.
We didn't because we wanted to spend.
It's just nice to look at.
We wanted to spend the extra time that we had. We wanted to spend on the beach,
right?
Because we were only there for a couple days. We flew back Monday, so we lost.
You're lucky,
almost
by
all
the way,
Monday.
that Trump wasn't in town. Because not just because
I know
because he really likes the capybaras.
Yes. Yes. I own all the best capybaras.
I wrestle Trump for a capybara. I'm just saying.
He's my top advisor. What do we need? Banana leaves, okay.
No, but when you're down there, they close West Palm Beach Airport.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that's an international airport.
It's a tiny
not
airport,
small,
but it's nice.
But it's an international airport.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a lot of traffic going in and out of that place. They close the airports based on the flight plan.
I'm sure.
I learned this back in August when I went down there for a meeting and then saw some family. But they'll close Orlando Airport. They'll close, going whatever the flight plan is for when Air Force One is flying over. They temporarily close these huge international airports. When he comes down, they close everything because it touches down.
Right.
They have police and ambulances and motorcade and all kind of stuff lined up at the tarmac where it comes down, and then they have a blocked off route from the airport where it goes over 95 down that one main strip going east to take them to how do you say this place? Mar-a-Lago. Through there, and then it's a nightmare when he's in town.
Sure,
because there's roads that are permanently blocked because it's the presidential route. So, and if you're at the airport when he's there, you can't fight it.
Yeah, you just have to ride it out. Yeah.
But it's good that you got in and out and you had a great time.
Yeah, no, it was a really nice trip. We watched the Super Bowl in the hotel room that Sunday night. But yeah, no, it was fun. I have no regrets, and it was a lovely trip. And I heart capybaras. I want to go back and visit Doris again.
Okay.
But yeah, so there it is.
Well, if we get back on terrestrial radio and if we can pull up a West Palm Beach affiliate, we'll be down there more times than not.
I'm telling you, I want to go to I want to go to the convention there. The convention center looked really nice. And I was looking at that con. It's actually a pretty nice convention. I got some good shit going on. Yeah. And it's in West Palm Beach.
Oh, we got to see who runs that convention.
And I can go visit Doris.
Not the same guy that
I don't think that it
Miami.
is. I don't believe that it is.
Okay.
It is a separate event.
Oh.
So, yeah,
wishful
that was my
thinking
trip.
for the future.
That's
great that you had a great time.
Yeah,
Happy belated birthday.
Well, actually, no, it was an early birthday present. My birthday is still...
No, I'm saying it to you now. Happy belated birthday because we are now past your birth date.
No, that's what I'm saying. My birthday is still coming up. My birthday is next
Wasn't
week.
it?
My actual birthday is next week.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible friend.
Yeah.
I should have known.
No, it's
you
fine.
are.
But we had to plan the trip
Shut
when
up,
we
Giddles.
can.
It's not your birthday.
We had to
It
plan
is
the
your
trip when we
birthday.
can do it.
That's yeah.
I would love to do that. And by the way, yes, it is Giddles' birthday,
Yes.
February 9th. So happy birthday, my friend.
Soon.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Like in a day.
Oh, it's like tomorrow.
It is
I should
tomorrow.
do something.
Or if you're listening to this, it's belated. Wish Giddles a happy birthday at Gittlebase on Twitter.
Oh, I had a
and social
great
media.
time. All those plans I talked about on the show.
Right. And also to Geek Stuff OG, wish him a happy birthday.
Right.
And do you guys have Amazon wish lists you want to
I
plug?
always have an. I'm not plugging my Amazon wish. Don't buy me anything.
Please do.
No, don't buy.
Buy
me
Matt something nice.
Yes.
And then also for Giddles, buy him something nice too.
Subscribe to the Patreon. That as a birthday.
That's a good
That's a
good
birthday
gift.
gift.
That's a gift that
Subscribe
keeps
to the
on giving.
Patreon.
When we get back on regular broadcast, then you don't have to buy anything. But until then, help us out
there you go.
and flood their wish list and buy as much as you can.
There you go.
And help them celebrate. So,
All right.
We should take our first break.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll do the TV movie updates like we do. We got to talk about Cloverfield. And is there anything, Matt, that's across? Oh, the Venom.
Yeah, we can talk about Venom quickly.
Sorry. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
It's Erik Nagel with Eric, Matt, and Giddles. Back right after this.
Attention. Shameless social media plug.
Erik Nagel is on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and reluctantly, Snapchat. So follow, like, and subscribe. Would you kindly?
Hey, it's Artie Lang, and you're listening to my buddy. It's Erik Nagel. Nice. Salute, Chinda, Broccoli Rob.
Welcome back. It's Erik Nagel. It's me, Matt OG over there. Giddles over here from the Upside Down.
I'm here.
You're here now. Josh is rejoining us from the lovely city of Philadelphia.
Oh, now it's lovely. Now you have nothing but nice things to say.
Yeah,
No,
when
I
my
have
mic
nothing
was
nice
off,
to say
I heard
about
all
it.
those little shots. And you turned me back on, and we're lovely.
Yes, we're lovely. Send us some pretzels and cheesesteaks, and we'll make it all good.
That is really tasty.
Looking back over the weekend box office, Jumanji still holding in at number 1. Number 2, that third in the Maze Runner series, The Death Cure. I've never seen any of them.
I've never seen a single Maze Runner
The Death
movie.
Cure, you mean life?
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
I have no idea.
Number 3, Winchester, which I know just came out. I got to go
Yep.
see it this week. I'm very excited about that. The Greatest Showman 4th, and The Post coming in at number 5. One of the things about the Super Bowl was that we got to see movie trailers and we got to see TV advertisements. But before we go into the TV stuff, movie trailers, what I'm guessing Solo is the one that's the major one that stuck out.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, running through the ones I remember. Die Hard with The Rock, a.k.a. Skyscraper.
Well, Skyscraper is... I was figuring it out. It's Die Hard, it's Towering of Inferno, and it's also his other movie, San Andreas.
Oh, okay.
So it's all those movies together.
Oh, the best
I
is
will
like,
still go watch it, and I will still enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
Have you seen the memes already around that from
No.
the poster? Because it's like him jumping from a rooftop from a ladder to the other building, and all these physicists are like, "Yeah, no, at that speed, at this angle, he's dying on the street every way." Like the best he can hope for is he lands in the fire.
Just enjoy it for being a silly movie.
Of course.
No, it's serious.
There's people dying.
Yeah.
We got a trailer for Mission Impossible. It looks like a Mission Impossible movie.
I will enjoy that too.
And Solo, I guess, Solo was probably the big one. We got the teaser for it during Super Bowl and then the full trailer the next morning.
Oh, I didn't see the full trailer. I only saw the teaser.
Yeah, there's a full trailer they released the next morning on. It was during Good Morning America, but it didn't actually air during Good Morning America. But they released it on their Facebook page while Good Morning America. I don't understand, but it was good. I liked it.
Who needed Good Morning America?
I liked the trailer. I thought it was good.
Well, I thought
I'm excited for the movie.
Solo logo from the teaser trailer totally looks like the Solo Cup logo. Like it wasn't even that off. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's some copyright.
I mean, he likes to party, right?
He does. I like the trailer though.
Now,
I'm pretty excited for Donald Glover.
I'm trying to remember this because my memory's a little spotty on it. Was there a Jurassic Park trailer, or was it just the Jeff Goldblum Jeep commercial?
The very first movie trailer of the Super Bowl was Fallen Kingdom.
Okay.
Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom.
Because I was trying to remember.
It looks good.
All I kept remembering is Jeff Goldblum in the Jeep.
Right.
And I'm like, wait, was there an actual movie
There
trailer?
was that commercial also.
Okay. I thought that was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything Jeff Goldblum does is really... right now, he's just catering to his fan base at this point.
As he should.
Right. Even the Funko Pop that they put out.
Yeah,
The
of him
sexy,
laying down,
the sexy
yeah.
Jeff Goldblum laying out with his shirt kind of ruffled out, unbuttoned a bit. And the ad the online ad that Funko did for it was the thing is just sliding down this piece of metal, and it curves and then slides right in front of you. Like, hey, I'm Jeff Goldblum.
But
Christy is somewhere swooning. Over that.
But yeah, no, it's I the Solo trailer. I think Donald Glover is going to steal that movie. To be honest with you, as Lando Calrissian.
Oh
really?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Well, everyone was there was a lot of concerns with this movie going way back because one, the directors kept changing hands, and then two, people weren't happy with the choice for younger Han Solo. Right. Three, people were split on why is Woody Harrelson in this, and yay, Woody Harrelson is in this.
He looks great in the trailer.
And then when they announced Donald Glover as Lando, it's like, all right, well, like I guess people weren't sure with that. When I saw the mock-up of what he was wearing, it's like take the old Star Trek uniform and give it a lot of flair and make it like kind of 70s looking and add a cape to it. And it looks amazing.
But that's what he wears in Empire. He's got like that gold shirt with the blue cape.
The two-tone cape. Like, the inside's red, the outside's blue.
I mean, he's big pimping, and in the trailer, it looks like he's wearing a fur coat.
Yeah, he did.
But he looks the part, and
I think it's going to be really
interesting. I'm very interested to see how this all this works out. We're only a few months away from it, right? May.
Do you think we're going to see
Memorial
him do
Day.
the Kessel Run?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely. That's the one thing everybody wants to see is the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
So they have to do it.
Except for me. Like, I'm a diehard Star Wars fan.
Right.
Okay. I don't want to see them panhandle too much to the fans.
No.
Like,
why? Are you thinking it's going to be like another pod race?
But I feel like the Kessel Run is
like
sort of iconic.
Race, but go ahead.
I feel like the Kessel Run is sort of defining for that character.
Because that makes him who he is as the pilot. Like, he's the guy who did it where no one else can do it. So I don't know.
Right, but the way that they're going to have to do that and how they would have to shoot it is it's going to look more like a Star Trek thing than
the Kobayashi Maru.
A Star Wars thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to see it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Because it's distance, not time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Know.
Well, according to some fans, Josh, Star Wars is not about Star Wars anymore.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was all just like a euphemism and there's just like a bodega called Kessel and he just ran and got the beers faster than everyone else? You made the Kessel Run in 2 parsecs. Yeah, man, we were drunk.
Perfect.
All right, so that movie's coming out, the new Jurassic Park one. I'm trying to figure this out. Do you know anything more about Kingdom or no, Matthew?
Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
Well, what is it that you don't know about it?
Well, I don't know what the concept is for this one, other than I see.
Well, after Jurassic World ends,
right,
the island has to get shut down again.
Oh, jeez.
All right, that's where I was trying to figure out. Is it like? Do you remember reading the books in the 90s?
It's like Jurassic Park 2.
Yeah, Jurassic Park 2, where they leave the island and start making it to the mainland.
Correct.
Is this like another? How it ties into Star Wars, where they think Force Awakens is really a New Hope, or are they just recreating the island scene
so
again?
In Jurassic Park 2, The Lost Kingdom,
right?
Wasn't that what it was called?
I think so. Lost World.
Lost World. Sorry. In The Lost World, they weren't on Isla Nublar anymore. They were on the other island where one of the facilities was, and they were going to nuke it. And they went in to save them from nuking it because they didn't want to destroy any of the dinosaurs that had survived. In this one, it's not that they're going to nuke it. I think that it's some rogue scientists are still operating on that island, and they're trying to go there to prevent a disaster. Okay. Because what we get from the trailer is they have yet again, like, crossbred a bunch of dinosaurs to create some sort of monster dinosaur,
and then brought
it
some, like,
clearly
tourists
gets
there?
loose. No, it gets loose, I think, on the mainland, so it has a little bit of that vibe for it. So
is it going to be like a super T-Rex type thing?
I don't know.
It's like Animal Kingdom and Tyrannosaurus is like king.
Well, because in the last movie, it was sort of like a cross between like a T-Rex and a Spinosaurus. It was the Indominus Rex, is what they called it in the last movie. So, look. In my opinion, it's a Jurassic Park movie. I have loved these books and these movies, with the exception of the second movie. I hated the second movie.
That second movie was so
bad. But I liked the third movie. Like, I thought they did okay with the third movie. And then I liked the fourth one. And so in my opinion, like, if they continue to put out Jurassic Park movies and Chris Pratt continues to be in them, I'm going to just go see it. Like, as long as Johnny Depp is playing Jack Sparrow, I'm just going to see it.
It's just fun popcorn.
That's it. I've accepted the fact that I just want to see it happen.
Okay.
I need more of your attitude in my life. Because I don't have that.
Yeah, I'm like,
but it's only with certain things. Like there are just certain things that I just know that even if they're bad, I'm probably gonna love them. You know, it's the same reason why I go back and watch Army of Darkness for the millionth time every time.
Oh, it's
a terrible movie, but it's the most amazing movie ever. Oh, come on.
It is so good. That scene where he's obviously running and they're just hitting him with sticks to make it look like he's running.
Yeah, and when the skeletons are all marching, but you can actually see the dowel going through their chest so they can move in unison. It's terrible, but amazing at the same time.
It's so good.
It's for the same reason why Ash versus the Evil Dead is such a good show.
No, the best in Army of Darkness is there's a part where he's on the wall, he's like fighting someone, and you could tell that someone literally just went, and threw a skeleton because he just catches it. He's like, and just throws it down and then just keeps killing. It's so good.
But you know, like there are certain things that I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah.
Like I've accepted it.
I hear that.
So I'm looking forward to it in that regard.
This wasn't in the release during Super Bowl, but the new Deadpool trailer came out. Deadpool 2.
I'm excited for that. You know, the trailer started off very Deadpool. It was a bit silly. I didn't know where they were going with it at first because it looked serious, and then, you know, you couldn't do the effects, and he does the whole bit with the action figures, which is really funny, and it's very Deadpool. But then they end the trailer on a somewhat sort of serious movie trailer note where, you know, Cable's kicking ass, and he's got Hope Summers' teddy bear, which I'm stupid excited about.
What does that mean?
So Hope Summers is the daughter of Scott Summers and Madeline Pryor. Madeline Pryor is a clone of Jean Grey. And
Scott Summers is Cyclops.
Cyclops, correct.
In the X-Men, yeah.
And so she is also a vessel for the Phoenix Force, and she's in the future, and Cable is like trying to protect her because Cable is also the son of
Cyclops.
Wait, did I get that wrong? Is Hope Cable's daughter? I might have gotten that wrong. But anyway, either way, it's a great character. Hope Summers is a cool character. It's another chance at the Phoenix Force. I think Cable looks great. All of that aside, the most exciting part of that trailer is the one little snippet of them on the back of the plane. It's a quick, like 2-second snippet on them in the back of the plane. And in that snippet, we get our first glimpse at Terry Crews. Terry Crews was not confirmed to be in this movie. It was rumored up until that snippet.
Who is he playing?
He's playing a character named G.W. Bridge. I know. And he was part of this other. He was part of this
That's
other.
That's a bad G.I. Joe name.
He was part of this other team called the Wildcats, and he kind of was like sort of affiliated with the X-Force, but not entirely.
Right.
But more importantly than that, I'm pretty sure standing behind Deadpool and G.W. Bridge is Shatterstar, which is a huge boon for the X-Force movie, and they're saying that this is going to be the launching point for the X-Force movie. So I'm pretty excited.
I feel like the best part about these Deadpool movies, like I don't know any of the characters, and it seriously feels like the He-Man season 3 thing we were talking about. Oh yeah, it's Master Mouth and Finger Jaw. And you're like, who are these people?
These were all like 90s characters that were created, and Rob Liefeld. Love him or hate him. I happen to hate him. But he really did create a lot of those iconic characters, and, you know, their names were entirely appropriate for the time. And you can't change it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take a character that you guys might not know, but Shatterstar is a pretty big deal in the Marvel Universe. You can't change his name. Like, that would be like nerd rage.
What does he do? Does he shatter things?
He's a mutant. He's got a sword. He wears a cool helmet. He's cool.
He's got like a red Magneto looking kind of helmet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost. Yeah. I don't know. And
He's
the sword.
a
I think that's like his whole backstory.
Yeah. But he's a cool character, and he's affiliated with X-Force.
You know what he sounds like?
Domino
when you have
and
too many
Deadpool.
different action figures, and there's just that box of assorted pieces, and they just put it on a generic guy.
He really does have like the Magneto mask.
If you remember any of the Image comics that came out, there was a book that came out called Youngblood. The lead character in Youngblood was this character Shaft that was that Rob Liefeld reskinned Shatterstar from.
Okay.
When he went over to Image. I mean, it's
oh wow, okay.
So he's an important character. That's exciting.
I like the part of the trailer where Cable says something, and it's not Deadpool, it's Wade sitting on the couch, and he just looks into the camera and he goes, "That's just lazy writing."
That's just lazy writing.
Like his big, impact moment line. It was almost like an "I'll be back" kind of moment, and Wade just looks and goes, "That's just lazy writing."
But Josh Brolin looks great as Cable, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah. The other trailer that came out was Venom.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
No, Matt has been vocal about this being all
right,
ridiculous to make when it's not tied to Spider-Man or the Spider-Man universe.
All right, we're going to talk about
exactly right.
I totally agree with that. That doesn't sound ridiculous at all.
So we're going to talk about all of this very quickly. So the Venom trailer came out today. I think Sony did a huge disservice to themselves by releasing that trailer, because outside of the fact that you get literally a half a second glimpse at what we assume is the symbiote
in that little thing in the tube
in
there.
a bin, you don't see Venom in the entire trailer. That movie could be any action movie starring Tom Hardy. It was Tom Hardy laying on a gurney grunting the entire trailer. Like, that was it. Like, there's one scene where he's on a motorcycle. He doesn't remind me of the character of Eddie Brock at all, who was a journalist.
Who was obsessed with Spider-Man.
Who's obsessed with Spider-Man. That's why he takes on the form of a spider.
Right.
He mimics Spider-Man's costume. Now, there is one news source out there. One. And every other story you read will cite back to this one source.
Is this the source that you always complain that
it
makes
is
shit
not.
up?
No, it is not El Maybe.
Okay.
It's not Latino Review.
Okay.
Or Heroic Hollywood, where he is now. It's Collider is the source. But still, there's one source that says that Tom Holland filmed for the movie, but not as Spider-Man, only as Peter Parker. The IMDb page, which, as we all know, can be edited by anybody that has an IMDb Pro account, has Tom Holland listed as being in the film, but there is still no confirmation. Kevin Feige over at MCU says, no, he's not in the movie. It's not tied in. The woman over at Sony is like, yeah, no, he's probably tied in. So he might still be involved. We don't know.
Wasn't there before, while all that was being debate? Well, hold on. It was being debated, and then they flat out said, this is not, Spider-Man's not in this. It's not part of the MCU Spider-Man universe. Then they said, wasn't Carnage supposed to be a part of this?
So, yes. So the story that I'm hearing is that Carnage is going to be in it, but then they're skipping Carnage and going right to the other 5 symbiotes that eventually they create. Because Carnage is actually a direct spawn of Venom.
Right, but Carnage is out of the other, I guess, the other symbiote. As far as mainstream concern, people know Venom.
Oh, yeah.
They know Carnage, as like, oh, it's the red demon that's not Spider-Man. I'm just dumbing it down because, we've seen
Venom is Darth Vader.
Right.
Carnage is Darth Maul.
Right.
Okay.
But people who don't know that much about comic books or
Maybe
Spider-Man,
got the color scheme right.
They know those characters.
Correct.
You're going to skip another major character to go to other ones that people aren't going to really know about when Spider-Man's still not a part of it.
Yeah, there was this terrible story where there was like 5 other symbiotes. It was there was a blue one, a pink one, a yellow one, I think a green one.
Were they Power Rangers?
I was just going to say.
Teletubbies?
And they were all spawns off of Carnage. Those
Tinky Winky.
But
we got Venom and we got Toxic and we got Slightly Poisonous.
I mean, if Tom Holland is in it and they somehow link it back to the MCU, fine. The movie does not take place in New York. It takes place on the West Coast. So maybe Eddie Brock leaves. Maybe he's obsessed with Spider-Man. That's the illusion to it. I don't know.
Let me ask you, because you got a good head for this. If it's not tied into Spider-Man, right? If it's has nothing to do with it, they're doing their home thing. If it tanks, does this put Disney in a better position to reclaim those characters?
No,
okay.
Because I don't think Disney is going to try to reclaim those characters. Look, I don't want it to tank. If it is going to be tied to the MCU, I don't want it to tank.
Right.
I'm concerned about how you take a character whose entire focus is his hatred for Spider-Man and remove Spider-Man from the equation.
Yeah.
I mean, they could just, talk about it, right?
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
He could head to the maybe he goes to the West Coast and then there's he's covering a science fair and Tom Holland happens to be there.
Maybe he just drunkenly
as Peter
tweets
Parker
late
and
at
he's doing something in LA with science and he's talking to this little science kid about I hate this guy. And maybe they try to tie it in that way. And he's like, "Oh, red flag."
Right, but at least that's an acknowledgement of Spider-Man in the universe. The way that they're going about it now is one of two things: either it's going to be an entirely different Spider-Man, which why would you do that? Or they'll
bring back Andrew Garfield because he was awesome.
Might as well bring back Topher Grace as Venom, or they'll I don't know. I'm hesitant, and that trailer did them absolutely nothing. They should have saved that trailer until they had something more of Venom to put in the even if it was just
buried by all the news of everything else
something
this week.
else. Well, yesterday we got the movie poster yesterday with the announcement that we were getting footage today. So everybody was hyped up for the footage, and then the footage is just literally you see the symbiote in a bin, and then at the very last second of the trailer, you see what you assume is the symbiote starting to take over Eddie Brock's body, and that's it. You don't see the eyes, the teeth, the tongue, like all of the things that make Venom Venom. You don't see any of, which I think just is a bad choice on their part. But my opinion.
Well, we'll see how that all turns out.
We'll see.
I think that's it for movies. I want to get to.
What about the big Super Bowl debut?
That's
movie?
what.
Okay.
He wants to get to Paradox.
Well, you can't say that's it about movies and then talk about a movie
because
it's not a movie.
It's not. Yeah.
No, it is.
No. So the big thing, and this is interesting for a lot of reasons, but one again, Netflix is figuring out how to change the game and the industry itself by doing this, where they secretly shot and developed a third installation in the Cloverfield universe that nobody knew was coming, and then all of a sudden during the Super Bowl, hey, the Cloverfield Paradox, you're watching this thing like, oh, what is this? This is amazing. And then they pause. It says Netflix, available after the game.
Yeah.
And we were like, what?
Yeah.
So if you didn't go and watch This Is Us or anything else, Philadelphia Burning, you went over to Netflix to watch Cloverfield Paradox.
So part of what you said is accurate.
Yeah.
Netflix did not develop this movie. Paramount developed this movie as the God Particle.
The God Particle, yeah.
And apparently it wasn't being well received in early treatments.
It was rewritten a bunch of times.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So they reskinned it and called it Cloverfield Paradox and sold it to Netflix, or made a deal with Netflix to release it.
Right.
What J.J. Abrams has said is that this is kind of what he wants to do with Cloverfield. It's kind of like an anthology series. And so it's given, and he's not even trying to hide it. Like, I know why you don't like it, and a lot of people don't like it. I know some people who liked it. I know some people who hated it.
But I don't like that idea of like, oh, here's a movie that's not very good. Let's just slap a monster into it, attach the name Cloverfield, and now it's part of this anthology world.
But they didn't.
Like, I don't like that.
They didn't just slap a monster into it. The monster part of that movie was always there.
Ugh, I need to know what the original plot was.
But
because
they changed some of it around to tie into the Cloverfield universe a little bit. And there's another Cloverfield movie coming later this year.
Yeah, in the fall. There's one, and it's based in World War II.
Correct.
Which apparently is going to be the result of the paradox, where it's not just that they opened up something with the particle with the collider there interdimensionally at that time. It goes throughout time.
Correct.
So this fourth part that's supposed to come out during World War II has, German scientists discovered something in this small town where all this weird shit is happening, and they start to harness and use it, and it traces back to being from this incident.
Ugh.
So
the incident, okay, but like. And this is going to be kind of a spoilery type thing here, and not like a whole spoiler, but like sort of spoilery. But there's a part in the very beginning of the movie, probably like 10 minutes into it, where they have a conspiracy theory guy playing on the space station that they're on. And he literally just tells you everything that's going to happen in the rest of the movie. And that at that point, I wanted to turn it off because I knew it. So he's like, who knows what could happen? They could open another, dimension, and demons and other things could come through. And I'm like, all right, I know what's going to happen.
Right.
I don't know. It was really bad.
All right. Let me tell you about that thing. So that guy,
had to have been an added scene.
It was, but they put it in, to give that narrative, even though you think that's spoiling the movie. The reason why they did it was this: is the guy, I keep calling him Jimmy the Cab Driver because that's who he was on MTV back in the day.
Guy, you like the shows.
Donal Logue,
yeah,
Logue,
yeah,
right. Jimmy the Cab Driver from the old MTV.
He's on Gotham,
but he's on Gotham right now.
He was on SVU, yeah.
So his part in Cloverfield Paradox, where he's that author, that scientist who writes these books where everyone thinks they're just big conspiracy theories or whatever, he is the brother to John Goodman's character in 10 Cloverfield Lane. So we don't know if it's because of all this, was it at the same time?
Right.
Or same, because the way 10 Cloverfield Lane ends is again, another movie that was reskinned called The Cellar, which they redid it, and then the ending ties into the Cloverfield universe, where you're seeing what looks like an alien invasion, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character is driving off to go be a part of that. That's tied into Paradox, where the one gentleman who rescued the girl, they're in a cellar that looks like John Goodman's cellar.
Right.
It could be another one. It could be that one at a different period of time. And when the astronauts were coming back into orbit, they were saying you got to tell them about these things. These things down here, they're ruining the planet. So you don't know where exactly and when exactly everything is happening. Is this alien invasion happening as they're doing it? We know the monsters are there, but it's not the time that from the original movie, because that was based in 2008. Right. And now this is 2026 or something like that. So they're tied all together. I think what they're trying to do is, remember like shows like The Outer people saying Black Mirror, but remember The Outer Limits? Outer Limits was sort of in the vein of Twilight Zone, but it wasn't exactly what Twilight Zone was.
Right. So
Outer Limits is a showcase of weird stuff happening, and then eventually will tie back to the main theme in some way, shape, or form, where Twilight Zone didn't do that. They were all standalone episodes. Outer Limits always kind of put everything together, some way they link together, which I know what... Well, Black Mirror sort of does that. They have Easter eggs. They have things
there's a lot of Easter eggs.
Right? But it's not blatantly pointing back at some of these things up until the Black Museum episode. But I think that's what they're trying to do here.
And that fucking song that they play all the time, that I think that they're playing in every episode to drive you insane.
Right.
The song that she sings in the billion credits or whatever?
Yeah.
I think they're just going to be like, they can take all these different stories and scenarios and make it part of the universe. And I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea. I don't know. It was just so bad. Like, even the plot points, they were just so inconsistent. Like, oh, this person's so smart. They went into space. They're an alternate dimension. She's like, I have to go down and warn my other family with, like, the whole kid situation.
Yeah.
Like, it was so convoluted. And it made no sense, and I just didn't care about any of the characters. Like, there was a couple of cool scenes, like when Chris O'Dowd's arm was in the wall and he was like getting like tripped around.
I love Chris O'Dowd.
I think he's great and everything, but like that scene,
even
was
though I only
cool.
think IT crowd, but he's for women listening, Bridesmaids. He was in Bridesmaids, which was a big thing. But I'm saying big Judd Apatow movie. He was one of the breakouts from that movie.
Yeah.
But Chris O'Dowd I really loved the fact, and it was weird too that he was being sucked in but felt no pain when look, he had some funny lines. That's my fucking arm.
Yeah. But even so, like, there was just so many things that didn't make sense. Like, why was his arm able to write that thing down? You know what I mean? Like, there was so many things that just didn't make sense.
And that thing fitting in the guy didn't make sense either. I'm like, that doesn't look proportionate.
Yeah. Like, nothing about that made sense. Like, I don't know. It was to me, it was just like a very schizophrenic movie.
Can you like it for what it is?
No, I can't.
You can't?
Nope, can't like it for what it is. Okay. And I like bad movies. Like, Cabin Boy is one of my favorite movies. Like, I like shit movies. And I could not like that for what it was.
What were you saying, Josh?
The only thing that I know about the Cloverfield movies is that this conversation is making me so happy. I've never seen any of them.
Yeah, dude. No, that's what it comes down to.
I love the first one.
I did not like the first one. I will put that out there. I did not like it. I didn't think it was that
all
good.
I know is it's a monster, but we never see it.
Yeah, that's what happens in Cloverfield Paradox. It's a monster, and you never see it until the last 4 seconds, and then you see it, and you're like, that doesn't really look like the monster from Cloverfield.
It's the same monster. It's just bigger.
It's just bigger, but I don't know. I thought it was really
stupid.
It felt like Sunshine. Did you see that movie Sunshine? With Danny Boyle movie where they're in space, and it felt like that, but worse. I don't know.
Matt,
I really didn't like it.
Sunshine?
Or Cloverfield Paradox?
I did not see Paradox. No, I've actually never seen Lane either. And I've heard it was great too, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Well,
PK from our show, from Geek Stuff, loves these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
I love the first one.
Loves.
The John Goodman portion of 10 Cloverfield Lane is great. He's really good. I love him as an actor.
Sure.
And it wasn't a shitty project for what he does in that. I don't think it was a shitty project that he was a part of.
Yeah.
They just threw John Goodman. He was really good in what he in as his character and portraying the story that he had to portray in that. The ending comes out of left field for it. I'm sorry if it's spoiling anything, but it's been years. You can go and watch it somewhere. I think I have it. I'll lend it to you if you do care to watch it or not. If not,
no, I want to watch
fine.
it. I just haven't checked it.
the way this one goes, I think, because it's technically a prequel. It's not a third. It's a third installment, but it's not the third part in the story.
I mean, it could technically be any part of the story because of the time travel paradox.
Well, that's what.
So that's the biggest problem I have with this.
I think this is to explain why the other stuff is that has happened and what's going to happen. They just like, here's the point of where everything went crazy, and now it opens them up to put anything they want into this franchise.
But what I'm saying is, like, you don't even need to watch the Cloverfield, any of the movies. You could watch that one bit 10 minutes into this movie where the conspiracy guy's like, don't turn on that portal because demons may come through and monsters may come through. That's like literally what happened. I don't know. That scene drove me insane. Like, you don't need to give out that much exposition. You could be like, I'm just saying, as a scientist, you turn that thing on, shit could happen. Just say it like that. Don't be like, monsters and demons can come through. And then they cut back to the news report. She's like, did you say monsters and demons? He's like, I did say monsters and demons. It's like, okay, it's going to fucking happen.
I get that point. They're over-explaining.
It's too stupid. Like, how dumb do you think I am as a viewer? That's what it comes down to.
I think that's what...
Yeah.
Because people were... You know what? I take it back. They had to do that. Because, look...
Because the movie made no sense without it.
But look at the audience that they're catering to. The mainstream audience that was watching the Super Bowl that never would watch this to begin with.
Well, I know. The guy was eating shit in the street. But,
But Josh is still on the phone.
Keep coming back
with
to
us.
it. Just keep coming back.
No, but I'm just saying, all that stuff... You get to the point where it was so... You have such a broad mainstream audience that's going to check this out. They probably had to do it in this particular picture so that it would get everybody hopefully on board to see the other things.
I don't know. I think if you have to give out that much of your plot point in the first 10 minutes of the movie, you probably should not have made the movie.
But I'm saying there may have been another motive behind it as well, considering the circumstance.
I don't know. I didn't like it. It felt very much to me like Paramount knew that this was going to tank at the box office.
Right.
And that this was their best way to get the most people to watch it and be like, oh shit, it's just dropping right now, let's watch it. That's got me to watch it. I honestly would have had no interest in seeing it.
Right.
But I don't know. It felt like a way to, as you said, reskin. It's like, it's not Fallout 4. It's, Skyrim 7, It's the same game.
You saw the first one, right, Matt?
First Cloverfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater. I loved it.
Okay. So somewhere down the line after you watch it, come back to us and see if you feel the same as Giddles.
I'm going to try to watch both of them in the next week or so.
But like you said, I mean, it has a lot of sci-fi influences where, there's parts where you're like, okay, this is clearly Alien. And you watch other parts and you're like, this is clearly that movie Life that came out a year ago.
There's some parts in there that I said felt like Event Horizon.
Yeah, and there's parts that clearly feel like Event Horizon. I mean, the part where the guy's on the floor and he's like shaking and you're like, oh my God, an alien's going to pop out of his chest. Like, you tell me you didn't feel that kind
of course I did. He's in the medical lab where they're and he's going nuts, and something I won't ruin it for Matt. Something does come out, but not from where you think it's going to come out.
Yeah, but it's like it's that scene. It's that same scene from Alien.
Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe they just like, let's borrow from every sci-fi. The Arm reminds me of Dead Space. Did you ever play that game?
I never played Dead Space.
Okay,
no.
There's a thing where a guy loses an arm and the arm's floating in space, and at one point it's back.
Oh, that's
and I'm
cool.
like, this felt like Dead Space. So it's obviously all fanboys who are writing this.
Yeah.
Borrowed a little bit from everything.
But I mean, what's going to be like the next failed movie that they just slap Cloverfield on? You know what I mean? Like,
well,
that's what it feels like to me.
It's done, this World War II movie, and it's coming out in the theater, not on Netflix.
No, what if Venom turns out to be a Cloverfield movie?
The
Venom
one
fighting Cloverfield.
then you know what? That will make sense.
The one that's coming out next, the next one that's coming out, I think was actually developed intentionally as a Cloverfield film. I could be wrong.
What's it called?
With that.
Overlord?
I don't remember what it's called, but yeah.
I have no idea.
Cloverfield for the vanilla-ing. I don't know.
The vanilla-ing.
They're going to open the portal and the Chitauri from Avengers are just going to come pouring out.
It'd be great if they opened the portal and like the thing from Attack on Titan came through and just started eating people. Like, that'd be fucking awesome. Be like, yeah, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, now you're cooking.
All right, anyway, so the Cloverfield 4, the Overlord. It's currently titled Overlord. Comes out in the fall. It's a World War II based thing, but Cloverfield 3, if you want to call it that, the Paradox is available on Netflix. Go watch it, make your own decision. Tag any of us if you feel that you agree with Giddles or if you disagree with everything going on there. Just tag us for that. couple last quick things because we got to get out of here. The Olympics start this weekend. Anybody care or watch that stuff? I know I watch it.
Yeah, when they win, I'm going to riot so hard, dude. I'm going to hit Broad Street.
Figure skating!
Yeah!
He did the triple Lutz and blowing up this building.
So that starts. It goes on for 16 days, so I'm going to be watching that. I don't know if any of you are. I'll report back to you if
I'm going to be playing the
interesting.
Overwatch Lunar New Year events. That's what I'm going to be doing.
I'll be watching Critical Role.
Nice. We're such nerds.
Also, one of our favorite shows, Last Week Tonight, returns this Sunday with John Oliver, so it'll be interesting to see what he has to say about everything else going on and whatnot. Let's get out of here. Let's do the plugs. Josh, since you're still here, why don't you start?
Lorehound.com, InEffectHardcore.com, and the Chamonix Creek Brewing Company.
There you go. Matt OG?
Geek Stuff OG across all the social media platforms. New episodes of Geek Stuff go online each and every week on Thursdays, or you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/BK Geek Stuff.
Giddles.
Giddlebase, Twitter, Instagram, and Xbox Live. I got a mac and cheese takedown coming up February 25th in Brooklyn.
Nice.
At the Brooklyn Bazaar on Greenpoint Avenue. So if you're in the tri-state area and you want to come eat some macaroni and cheese that I cooked with my buddy Matt, come on down. It's going to be the 25th. It's going to be fun.
Sweet. For me, it's E-Rock Radio across the board on social media and on Xbox. For the show, it's Erik Nagel across the board. Go to itseriknagel.com for all the links to stream, to download, social media, what have you. All available there. Itseriknagel.com. I think that's it. Next week we'll be back. And one last thing before we go. One of my favorite shows growing up was Frasier. And recently we lost John Mahoney. Was known mostly as a character actor. He could definitely fit the gruff detective style role, and that's exactly what he was. He was a retired detective on Frasier, played his dad for, how long was that show on? 11 seasons, something like that. They won all the Emmys.
All of them for 11 years.
All the cast won all the Emmys. I really loved that show. I loved him in that role. So Godspeed to John Mahoney, and until the next time, be seeing you.
My name's Martin Crane. When I made this tape, I was 64 years old. But now, I'm dead. Trapped in a box underground. Pretty scary, huh?
Dad, surely you must have some message you want to leave for the Cranes of the 21st century?
All right, I do. Remember to always work hard, and that family comes first. And I have $1 million in unmarked bills that I took off a drug dealer that I have stashed in my old Army footlocker. The combination is left 15, right 32, left...
Future generations, see what I had to put up with?
It's Erik Nagel. And that's all the time we have. Follow the show at It's Erik Nagel on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Unless we do something stupid or something better comes along. We'll be back next time.